do. Upon seeing it, the other party seethed with rage. Zhang Xuan is speechless. Isn't this misunderstanding getting a little out of hand? However, he can understand that it is natural for others to think that way. After all, without guiding her cultivation, he was able to make their young mistress willingly acknowledge him as her master, and she even blushed upon bringing up the subject. What's more, the record crystal had been shattered. That's obvious an act of evidence destroying. All of these show that there's something amiss with the situation. Zhang Xuan is immediately labeled as a weird uncle, a sex maniac, a shameless teacher, and other similar titles. Uncle Yao, what are you thinking? If you are going to continue behaving like this, I will never bother with you again. Looking at the furious Yao Han and hearing his words, how can she not know what is going through his mind? Her face immediately darkens as she exclaims. After all, she is a young lady. This kind of rumors would ruin her reputation. Young mistress. Interrupted by Zhao Ya, Yao Han could only withdraw his aura. All right, follow me to collect my bedding. Don't hold me up here, I still have lessons tomorrow. Zhao Ya harumphes and walks out of the room. She is unwilling to talk about her illness. If she were to reveal it to him, he would definitely pressure her to talk about it. Under this kind of situation, how could she possibly talk about it? Thus, unable to come up any other excuses, she could only claim to have willingly acknowledged Zhang Xuan as her teacher. HMPH. After seeing the young mistress turning around to leave the room, Yao Han glances at Zhang Xuan coldly with a glint in his eye, seeming to be contemplating over something. Then, with a fling of his arm, he turns around and walks out. At this moment, the intention to kill that young man lingers in his mind. If they weren't in the academy and the young mistress didn't stop him, he would have long made his move. Who did I offend this time? Looking at the Yao Han's cold gaze, Zhang Xuan feels perplexed. I only accepted a student, do you have to go this far? He made it seem as though I'm an unpardonable criminal, who is the source of all evil in this world. The problem is that he didn't do anything at all. Forget it, there's still time left today. Let's see if I can recruit a few more students. The more students under my tutelage, the more resources I will receive. There are many different levels to the teachers of Hongtian Academy. Every year, an assessment of the teachers would be conducted based on the conditions of their students. The number of the student they have, the pace of their improvement, their results in all kinds of competitions. The teachers are relying on these to be promoted. The higher their level, the resources a teacher would get would increase exponentially. Naturally, the same goes for the resources their student would receive as well. This is probably what it means by the teacher and the students advancing as one. Right now, he has only accepted 3 students. He might be able to retain his position as a teacher, but if one were to talk about qualifications, he is still the last in the entire school. In order for him to advance, he could only continue recruiting more students. Zheng Yang, don't be too disappointed. Wang Cao Laoshi was the only one who rejected you. You don't have to be so depressed. 2 youths are walking on the pavement in the academy. The youth in front is currently trying to console the one behind. Mo Zhao, you were accepted. Of course you don't feel anything saying those words. How about you try getting rejected? Zheng Yang frowns, unhappy at his friend's words of consolation. Cough cough, don't say that. There are still a lot of excellent teachers in the academy. There isn't a need for you to choose Wang Cao Laoshi out of them all. The youth in front scratches his head in embarrassment. There's no need to choose him. It is easy for you to say. Since young, we have been training in the way of the spear, and the spear has already become a part of our body. It is something we are unable to discard anymore. The best teacher in the art of the spear in Hongtian Academy is Wang Cao Laoshi. Now that you were accepted by him while I was rejected, Is it possible for me to not get depressed? Zheng Yang rages. That. Mo Zhao didn't know how he should reply to such a question. In Hongtian Academy, different teachers have different specialization. Some of them specialize in fists, while some of them specialize in sabers. Wang Cao she is well known for his capability in imparting the way of the spear. He is considered as one of the better teachers even considering the entire academy. The both of them joined the examinations together in a hope to become his disciples. However, one of them passed while the other one failed. It is natural that the one who failed would feel gloomy. There is a classroom there. How about we take a look? Unsure about how he should resolve this awkward situation, Mo Zhao suddenly sees a classroom not too far away and points towards it. I'm not going. Zheng Yang shakes his head. Let's go and take a look. What if this teacher is also skilled in imparting the way of the spear as well? Mo Zhao consults. Anyway, you have nothing to lose just by visiting it. All right. Although he is unwilling, Zheng Yang still follows Mo Zhao into the room. The person inside the room is Zhang Xuan. He is just about to go outside to recruit some fresh blood, when he sees two youths walking in. Nice to meet you, teacher. Mo Zhao bows. Zhang Xuan widens his eyes slightly. Are you here to look for a teacher? Yes, this is my brother. He is extremely formidable, especially with his spear. In the younger generation, there are few who can compete against him. I hope that teacher can guide him. Mo Zhao says hurriedly. Mo Zhao. Zheng Yang pulls the sleeves of his good brother. What is it? Mo Zhao asks in confusion. Look at the surroundings. Zheng Yang frowns. This classroom is extremely narrow. From the looks of it, it could only fit 10 people or so. It is obviously a small classroom. The size of the classroom is representative of the capability of the teacher. The teachers, who are ranked in the top few, have classrooms the size of a field, allowing more than hundreds of students to cultivate and train at the same time. In comparison to that, this classroom is just like the size of a palm. The teacher of this classroom is probably only of average standard. It's indeed quite small. Mo Zhao notices the size of the room and his heart beats. Deng. Initially, he wanted to help soothe the stifled emotions in his best friend's heart. Yet, unwittingly, he came to this kind of location. If the teacher's standard is really subpar, not only will the stifled emotions not disappear, it might even weigh heavier on his heart. Demonstrate your ability with the spear. Seemingly oblivious to the secret conversation taking place between the two, Zhang Xuan says calmly. Since we came here, we might as well have this teacher guide you for a bit, since there is nothing to lose. If his standard is really bad, we could just refuse to acknowledge him and leave. Seeing the look of hesitation on Zheng Yang's face, Mo Zhao persuades him. Zheng Yang nods his head. Other than some exceptionally popular teacher that most students set their eyes on, when most teachers choose their own students, their students are allowed to examine the capabilities of the teachers as well. After thinking it through, Zheng Yang immediately retrieves the spear from his back and fixes the multiple parts together. Wink. With the long spear in his hands, Zheng Yang's expression changes instantly, just like the intimidating glint of the sharp edge of an unsheathed blade. Su 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 su. The long spear stabs forward and a sonic waves boom. The entire room sounds as though it is being torn apart, and a strong gust of wind whips up in the surroundings. Experts are identifiable the moment they make a move. This Zheng Yang, although he may not be considered too strong, but his prowess with the spear is indeed quite not bad. Who? The tip of his spear tremors and strikes the rock pillar not too far away. A light reverberation lingers in the air and numbers appear on the pillar. 110. To think it would be more than 100 kilograms. Just by the destructive prowess itself, Even a one-dan fighter Zhugzi realm pinnacle would be unable to take the blow. Teacher, please offer me some pointers. With his spear held vertically beside him, Zheng Yang stands upright without a hint of nervousness or tiredness, as he looks at Zhang Xuan impassively. Truthfully, just by the size of the classroom, he doesn't hold high expectations for this teacher. He thinks that his standard would at most be of average. As though proving his point, the teacher, before him, squints his eye. It is difficult to fathom what he might be thinking. He only slowly opens his eyes after hearing his words. He turns to look at him with a faint hint of a smile on his lips. You are emotionally wounded? That is, you have been dumped before? After thinking it through, Zheng Yang immediately retrieves the spear from his back and fixes the multiple parts together. Zheng Yang stares blankly, before his face turns red and darkens. I once had a crush on a girl. Then, I was humiliated by her. But this has nothing to do with teacher. He once had a crush on a girl and he had once confessed to her excitedly. However, he was humiliated heartlessly by the other party and he felt ashamed of it. He has kept this incident a secret such that not even Mo Zhao is aware of it. How did this teacher know of this? Is that for real? Zheng Yang, why didn't you tell me that you got humiliated by someone? Who is it? Hearing him admit to it, Mo Zhao is surprised and hurriedly asks him. I will tell you about it later. Zheng Yang shakes his head, refusing to say any more about it here. He looks at the teacher before him and says, Teacher, this is my private affair. I have no idea how you could have knew this, but this should have nothing to do with guiding me in the way of the spear. Nothing to do with it? Zhang Xuan shakes his head. This has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it? Zheng Yang is a little doubtful of his words. What does a broken heart have to do with the Zhang Xuan guiding him? Your spear is decisive and powerful. This is just like your personality. No matter what you do, you always charge straight ahead, without thinking about the consequences. This should have been a good thing. Warriors should be like that, charging ahead without concerning themselves with minor things. Zhang Xuan looks at Zheng Yang calmly. However, it is a pity that after your emotional experience, fear started to sprout within you. You fear rejection and you fear humiliation. There is hesitation in your spear. With that additional hesitation, your strength greatly reduces. You could see all these from my spear? You could tell that I was once heartbroken? You could tell my personality? Zheng Yang is shocked. The words of the other party aren't wrong. Rather, they are too correct, there isn't even a single error in it. His personality is straightforward and in this past, this allows him to charge ahead bravely without fear. Yet, due to that emotional experience, he starts to become timid and hesitant in everything he does. For him to be capable of telling all these through his spear, even his heartbreak, what kind of eyes do he possess? When did such an impressive teacher appear in the academy? He feels as though he is going crazy. Previously, when he visited the #1 spear teacher Wang Cao, to request for him to accept him as a student, Wang Cao only told him that he has yet to grasp the crux of the way of the spear. As for the reason behind it, he couldn't really tell. However, with just a single look, the man before him could tell that he had a history of heartbreak, and that his skills stagnated due to the emotional trauma from it. Could this teacher's ability to discern be stronger to Wang Cao? This is normal. Zhang Xuan gestures with his hand, a look of an expert appearing on his face. The spear is a reflection of one's heart. If one's heart isn't clear, the skills they display through it would be dark. Even though your skills with the spear is coherent, it feels as though there is something shrouding it, something that you are unable to make sense of, something that you are unable to sever from you. With just one look, I can tell that it is definitely a crush. This time, not only does Zheng Yang's face crumbles, even the mouth of Mo Zhao beside him is open so wide that an egg could soon be stuffed inside it. What the heck, are you for real? Just by looking at one's skill with the spears, you could tell that emotions are shrouding it, and the unable to make sense of and unable to sever. Are these still the eyes of a human? Mo Zhao and Zheng Yang stares at one another, disbelief appearing in both of their eyes. Teacher, can you help me take a look as well? After the shock, Mo Zhao steps forward with a look of desire on his face. Regardless of whether Zhang Xuan is agreeable or not, the spear in his hands tremble and he begins to execute his moves. He executes the same moves as Zheng Yang, just that they are stronger and much more fluid. Just by his skills with the spears itself, he is indeed better than Zheng Yang. It is no wonder that Wang Cao Laoshi chose him and not Zheng Yang. Who? After a gust of wind, Mo Zhao retracts his spear and stands up straight. When his spear moves, he is like an unparalleled frenzied demon. When his strength overflows, even gods and spirits dare not approach. When his spear retracts, he stands quietly just like a statue. With a movement of his hands and feet, his disposition changes. Although he cannot be considered to be strong, being at fighter 1 dan, he could be considered to have walked quite a distance in the way of the spear. You have a weak stomach. If I am not wrong, you even suffered diarrhea today. Zhang Xuan's serene gaze turns towards him. What? A shudder passes through Mo Zhao. Teacher, you could tell that I had diarrhea from my spear? Just like what the other party said, his stomach isn't doing well today. He already started having diarrhea from yesterday. Today, it got even worse and his body feels weak. However, this doesn't really affect him much. With a spear in his hand, he still managed to execute his skills at top form such that even Wang Cao Laoshi couldn't stop praising him. Yet, the man before him could see through it in an instant. Is that for real? To be able to tell one's heartbreak and diarrhea just from his spear, what are his eyes made of? You want me to guide you? If you want, then acknowledge me as your master. Ignoring the shock of the two, Zhang Xuan looks at them calmly. To be able to tell the condition of them both so simply, the both of them are about to go mad from shock. Yet, it doesn't seem like anything much to him. The truth is the same as well. When the both of them executed their skills, the Library of Heaven's Path automatically compiled a book on them both and the heartbreak and diarrhea naturally appeared in the list of their flaws. Zhang Xuan only has to take a look and read them out loud. There isn't any difficulty to it at all. Disciple Zheng Yang is willing to acknowledge teacher as my mentor. Without any hesitation, Zheng Yang immediately kneels on my floor. He is truly impressed by Zhang Xuan. With this kind of eye for discernment, how could his guidance be ordinary? Seeing how Zheng Yang acknowledges him as his master just after he pointed out a flaw of his, even before he started guiding him, Zhang Xuan nods his head satisfactorily. He retrieves a jade token representing his new identity to him and says, "Verify our relationship." Yes. Without any delay, Zheng Yang immediately drips of blood on it to verify his ownership of the token. Very quickly, the procedures are completed. Since you are now my student, let me give you a suggestion. If you want to be respected in a relationship, you must first hold sufficient strength. Without strength, how could the other party think of you as an equal? Thus, the first thing you have to do is not to be depressed, but to open up your mind and focus on your training. You must let the other party know how foolish they were to reject you. You must use your strength to prove to them. At this point, Zhang Xuan suddenly recalls a very show-off book from his previous life and smiles faintly. The river reverses its flow after 30 years. Do not bully the youths just because they are poor. Do not bully the youths just because they are poor? Hearing those words, Zheng Yang feels a burning sensation in his chest. He feels so agitated that his face turns entirely red and his body trembles uncontrollably. As a person born in this world, how could Zheng Yang possibly have heard of those words? In that instant, his battle will seem to have been lit. The depressed emotions he welled up from his heartbreak seems to shine brightly like diamonds. Try executing your skills again. Seeing how he has broken out of his shell, Zhang Xuan gestures. All right. Without saying anything, with the spear in his hands, Zheng Yang's disposition changes in an instant. It is completely different from his disposition previously. Hong 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 hong. His spear sweeps about as his oar rumbles. Powerful strength is exerted through the spear and scatters into the surrounding, shaking the entire room. Peng. At the end of his spear routine, he sends a horizontal stab towards the rock pillar. A deafening reverberation and a line of digits appear on it. 235. To think it would be 235 kilograms. Previously, when he used his full strength, it was only 110. With just a pointer, his strength increased by more than a single fold. Thank you, teacher. Seeing the numbers, the doubts in Zheng Yang vanished. He kneels onto the floor. At this moment, he is truly convinced in the capabilities of the teacher before him. Incredible. Looking at the numbers on the rock pillar, Mo Zhao couldn't help but turn red as his entire body trembles. He is delighted over finding a good teacher for his good brother. Yet, he feels disappointed at the same time. Previously, when Wang Cao guided him, his strength only increased by 30%. Yet, the teacher before him enhanced Zheng Yang's strength by more than a fold. If only he had known that this nameless teacher is that formidable, he wouldn't have wasted his effort to look for Wang Cao, and would have immediately acknowledged him as his teacher. At this moment, he feels a little regretful. However, doubt sprouts in his mind. How could such a formidable spear teacher remain unknown? He can't resist asking, Teacher, since you have accepted Zheng Yang as your student, could we have the honor of knowing your name? Hearing his words, Zheng Yang looks over as well. He is completely impressed by this teacher, but at this moment, he realizes that he doesn't even know his name. I am Zhang Xuan. Zhang Xuan replies calmly. Zhang Xuan? That name sounds familiar. Hearing that name, Mo Zhao ponders for a moment. Then, something comes to mind and his eyes narrow. His lips quiver uncontrollably as he asks, I seem to recall. The trash teacher who scored 0 points for his teacher qualification examination is also called Zhang Xuan. It seems that teacher, you have the same name as him. I am that trash. Zhang Xuan nods his head. Ah. Zheng Yang and Mo Zhao petrify. There are many rumors regarding that useless teacher. Before even coming to the academy, they have heard so much about him that callouses were growing on their ears. They say that he is skilled in nothing and that he had been misguiding disciples. They say that he doesn't know how to cultivate, and he doesn't know martial arts at all. All in all kinds of slander there is. As long as one is a student, it is best to stay as far away as possible from him. Do not mess with this fellow, otherwise going berserk is just a small matter at hand. At worst, they may even die in his hands. When both brothers came to the academy to seek a teacher, they have also heard of such rumors. All along, they have been proceeding carefully, but never in their dreams would they imagine that this unworldly and incredible expert is that legendary trash. Teacher, if you are so incredible, why would? Zheng Yang couldn't resist asking. Although it has just been a short period of time since they knew each other, he could tell that the teacher before him had immeasurable capabilities. Every single movement of his has an elegant disposition. How could he be a trash? There are many people in the world who are envious of the talented. This kind of things means nothing at all. Zhang Xuan tilts his eyes upwards 45 degrees, as sadness and regret reflect in his eyes, as though lamenting the incomprehension of the world. The emotions on his face are in place, but in his heart, he is scolding vulgarities. If it wasn't for the Library of Heaven's path, given how the previous owner of the body was, it was already very incredible of him to not get a negative score. 0 marks is already a high score, all right. I am willing to cleanse teacher of his sullied reputation. Seeing his teacher's depression and incomprehension of the world, Zheng Yang's heart is moved, and he couldn't help but declare so. It's okay, teacher's reputation doesn't matter. As long as you train hard, I would be satisfied. Take the identity token to claim your bedding. Come to class punctually tomorrow, make sure to not be late. After Zhang Xuan's show of acting cool, he seems to have fully captured the worship of the student. Zheng Yang nods his head. Yes. Zheng Yang pulls Mo Xiao, who is standing beside him, and the both of them walks out. 4 students. Seeing the two of them leave, excitement flashes across Zhang Xuan's eyes. The dazed young lady Wang Ying, the student, who he won from a bet Liu Yang, the arrogant young mistress Xiao Ya, and the spear genius Zheng Yang. Initially, he thought that today would be just like how it was before. He would be unable to recruit a single student and the day would end in a failure. He didn't expect that he would manage to recruit 4 of them. Without identity token, even if students were to come, I would be unable to admit new students. I better make use of this free time to get a few more tokens. After getting emotional over recruiting 4 students, does Zhang Xuan realize that he doesn't have any more tokens on him? This item is given out by the academy. Due to his terrible reputation, the teacher in charge of distributing the tokens only gave him 4. He even thought that Zhang Xuan would be unable to use all of it. If he doesn't claim more of it, even if new students were to come, they would be unable to acknowledge him. This token contains the information of the teacher. Once a student claims ownership of the token by dripping a blood drop on it, it means that they acknowledge the teacher as their mentor. On the other hand, if they would like to withdraw from the lesson, the teacher only has drip a blood drop on it and the information of the student would be erased. Standing up, he walks out of the classroom. The sun outside shines brightly and a heat wave assaults through the shade of the tree, causing people to sweat profusely. Freshmen and older students are walking on the pavements of the academy and excitement could be seen on their faces. Coming into a new environment and acknowledging a teacher, the freshmen are overjoyed. On the other hand, upon thinking of the arrival of new students for them to play with, the older students are full of smiles as well. While walking along the pavement, a large infrastructure appears before Zhang Xuan. There are 2 giant words hanging on a board in the center of the building: Logistics Building. The tokens that represent the identity of a teacher are claimed from this building. Yo, who is this? Isn't this our star teacher? For you to not be recruiting students in the classroom to visit me, what do you want? Oh, let me guess, could it be that you used none of the identity tokens, so you are here to return them? Right after walking in, he hears a sarcastic voice sounding out. Zhang Xuan raises his head and a plump man, whose face is full of fats, comes into view. This fellow at least weighs 300 to 400 kilograms. From afar, he looks like a giant ball of meat. Qian Biao. A name floats from the depths of his memories. This Qian Biao is one of the teachers in charge of logistics. He is a very spiteful man, who always likes to eat into the spare change of others. As the teacher on the lowest level, Zhang Xuan's salary has been minute and the resources he could claim had always been minimal. Thus, he has never been respected by him. Due to this affair, he offended him. The moment they meet, all kinds of sarcasm and insults would come flying out. Previously, Zhang Xuan been given 4 identity tokens under the premise that he wouldn't finish it is the work of this man. I have finished using my identity tokens. I would like to claim a few more of them. Can't be bothered with the other party, Zhang Xuan speaks calmly. Finished using it? Qian Biao stuns for a moment before howling in laughter. Ha, everyone, come and take a look. This teacher, who is first from the bottom, comes here to brag that he has used up all of his identity tokens. Ha, this is the funniest joke I have heard in the entire world. I seem to recall that you gave him 4 identity tokens back then. Finished it? Him? What a joke. The teacher, who is second from the bottom, Sunday Yan Lao, she is said to only have 1 student currently. This fellow who made history by scoring 0 in the teacher qualification examination could accept a single student? What are you trying to brag about? Throw him out. Anyway, after today, he would be fired. Upon hearing Qian Biao's shouting, the few teachers in the logistics branch came rushing over. They stared at Zhang Xuan with looks of disdain. For a teacher, who is at the very bottom and scored 0 for the teacher qualification examination, why the hell is he trying to show off? Students would run the instant they hear your name. For them to acknowledge you. What kind of joke is this? Oh? You said that I am bragging? Fine, why don't we bet on it? Zhang Xuan doesn't get mad. Instead, he smiles. Bet? Fine, since you want to lose so badly, I will fulfill your wish. Just that, given how poor you are, I doubt that there is anything you could offer. Qian Biao didn't expect this fellow, who he had always looked down on, would challenge his authority face on by betting with him. He snickers in disdain. It isn't your problem, whether I'm poor or not. Since I proposed the bet, of course, I will take out something I'm willing to bet on. Zhang Xuan widens his eyes. Oh? You are able to take something out? Given your background, the things you take out would probably just be some rotten metal or similar shit-like things. You think that grandfather I would bet with you? I can't afford to lose my reputation betting with you. Qian Biao states contemptuously. Zhang Xuan is the lowest level teacher in the entire academy, not to mention first from the back. Not mentioning the fact how he is unable to get a single student, he doesn't even have bonuses or so. If one must point out the poorest teacher in the entire academy, it would definitely be him. He lives thriftily even in his daily life, not to mention resources for cultivation. Zhang Xuan isn't bothered by his insults at all. He chuckles and continues, the thing I would like to bet isn't a treasure or an object. It is face. If you were to lose, I will slap you 3 times in front of everyone else. If I were to lose, I will let you slap me 3 times. Do you dare to bet with me? Slapping face? He didn't expect the other party would bet on this. Qian Biao couldn't help but to hesitate over it. To be slapped by the academy's worst teacher, if he were to lose, he wouldn't even feel like living on. He would be so embarrassed that he would want to die. How, do you dare or not? Zhang Xuan smiles at him. Qian Biao, what are you scared of? It's not like you don't know his standards. Can a teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination get a single student? Isn't he just dreaming? He is just scaring you. If he is able to recruit them, then won't I have a few hundreds of students by now? Even if the students of this year were to be blind, they wouldn't be blind to such an extent. The other teachers of the logistics branch smirk. None of them believe that Zhang Xuan would be able to recruit students. This is as difficult as a pig climbing up a tree. Fine, I agree. Finding everyone's words logical, he nods his head in agreement. Since the rest of you are cheering so happily, would you all like to make a bet along with me? With the same terms as him? Seeing him agree, Zhang Xuan looks towards the other 3 teachers of the logistics branch. The previous 3 who were so disparaging a moment ago didn't mind adding to the bet, since one of them had already agreed to it. Why? Do you find your face itchy, That you would like us to slap a few more times? Fine, I'm in. A teacher declares haughtily. I'm also in. Who's afraid of you? To be bragging in front of us despite scoring a 0, you are looking for death. The three of them nod their head with a smirk on their face. In their opinion, Zhang Xuan is bound to lose this bet today. He would definitely be slapped.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never